Rise for the pledge of... I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Ms. Isha.
Mr. Bova.
Here.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mrs. McBride. Here. Ms. Munga.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Dr. Singh.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, it just occurred to me that there was a judge who once ruled the Pledge of Allegiance unconstitutional.
Yeah, I saw that.
He just passed away, a 99-year-old judge.
So he,
No, you tell your kids you heard
it was
that
a
here.
long time ago, okay? When he was 99.
He did, 99, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so tonight is the regular meeting of the Gateway School Board of Directors. We had a executive session to discuss personnel at 5 o'clock, and we're going to go right into our Gateway High School Student Government Association Representative Zillan Sims. Yes? Did I pronounce that right? It's Zillan, right?
Xylan.
Now listen, if it was D-Y-L-A-N, what would it be?
I don't know.
Dylan,
I think you
trust
should pronounce it right. Maybe my name's just wrong.
Xylan, we argued about this. My bad, I should have asked you. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Ms. Sims.
So I am representing Gateway High School student government, and so recently, Gateway High School's positive behavioral interventions and supports PBIS team is excited to announce the success of their kickoff for the first reward program on December 22nd. The rewards included fun holiday activities such as a movie in the LGI, open gym, gingerbread house making, and other exciting surprises. So you can see a photo of some of the activities.
It's on page 2.
So SGA actually sponsored a hot cocoa bar and a decorating door contest and a holiday spirit week to deck the halls and spread some cheer at the high school. Senior class council hosted their annual pictures with Santa and his elves to raise money for prom of this year. So there's some photos of each one of those. And finally, we did expand. The art club members and Mrs. Severson are partnering with the Monroeville Public Library for monthly story and art activities. In December, they held their first story and art activity for 2nd through 5th grade students. They highlighted the story Cozy by Jan Brett and had young student attendees create a work of art using oil, pastels, and glitter. GHS Art Club members serve as the story readers, art assistants, and mentors. Our next activity is planned for February 2nd. Music department. Diana Novak, who is a sophomore, Jayla Chase, in 11th grade, successfully auditioned for and participated in PMEA, Pennsylvania Music Educators Association, District Chorus on January 12th and 13th. The festivals were hosted by Thomas Jefferson High School this year. 180 singers from 5 county area came together to rehearse and perform a concert on Friday evening. Sports. Gateway's first bocce team is having a strong start to their season. Their first ever match was a win versus Norwin. They had a tough loss to Ligonier Valley last week, but have 2 home game matches next week to bring back the wins. Anyone in the community is invited to their home matches, Monday, January 23rd and Wednesday, January 25th at 3:30 in the main gym. Gateway Girls Soccer played in the Penn Hills Winterfest tournament this past Saturday. Out of the 16 teams in attendance, Gateway Lady Gators came out on top and brought home a win. Gateway Boys Soccer played in the same tournament on Sunday. After pulling off a grueling win against Plum in the semifinals, Gateway took home 2nd place to Ringgold in the final. Still a huge accomplishment. Girls will be playing in the Hempfield tournament this upcoming weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job. Anyone have any questions for Xylan? No? All right, thank you, Xylan. Before we get the comments from residents on agenda items, we have Dr. Anthony Kane with us Not quite as lovely as Island, but get up there anyway. Anthony, I think most of you know.
Comments from the residents on agenda items, I don't mind waiting.
Oh, well, if you don't mind, then let's do that. Thank you. Nice. Oh, crap. That was your job. We have the Boy Scouts. Let's do the Boy Scouts first. I knew I'd get this all wrong. I don't know why you guys asked me to do this. Boy Scouts,
I don't know if the three of you want to go.
whoever wants to get up there, tell us your story, tell us why you're here, tell us the whole thing, take all the time you need.
Name.
Who you
I'm
are?
Alex Hines at Troop 184, along with two other members of Troop 184 over at Crossroads Church.
And their names?
That is Colton Reinhardt and Parker Cresswell.
Hello.
And
You don't want to stand up next to him, do you?
They left you out on your own.
it'll be okay. We're here for Citizenship in the Society Merit Badge, and we're trying to learn more about what's happening in our community, and that's why we are attending this school board meeting.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, ask, okay?
Thank you.
This is pretty free for all, till anyone says something out of line, then I wallop the gavel and shut this thing down. Now we're gonna move on to comments from residents on agenda items. Do we have anyone who would like to speak? No. Anthony, sorry, man. You're up again. It was very kind of you. Thank you.
Yes, I'll get up now. Do I have to say my name? You can do it yourself.
I'll remind everyone, this is Dr. Anthony Kane, who is working with the district on our DEI efforts.
And as a resident.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm a Monroeville resident.
So I really just wanted to come to give an update on how things are going. We had some good conversations over the Christmas winter break, and then I just spoke with Dr. Chakey. Got it right on the record. Make sure it's in the minutes that I got that right. About kind of the progress that we've been making and the willingness that teachers and other school personnel have shown in entertaining me with the questions I have around what they would like to see Gateway look like, but more importantly, like what are the strategic and tangible goals that we want to work towards. So to date, we have met with the Equities Committee, thanks to Dr. Chakey for bringing together a good majority of the people who represent that committee. I think we were even surprised at some people who had shown up and really engaged and participated. A lot of good information was shared, a lot of information that was new to me as it relates to this work. But it was nice to see a lot of people in the room agree with kind of the direction we were hoping to go, but more importantly, where they believe some of the roadblocks and hurdles were. This past week on Friday, I met with middle school personnel in this room, and then high school personnel over in high school. I was a bit disappointed at the lack of teachers present for the middle school meeting. We did have a school social worker, a school counselor, but there was only one teacher, and that teacher was newer. Towards the end of our session, another teacher had come in. She had some challenges getting coverage, which I totally understand. I didn't want to disrupt the teacher's schedule too much because teachers love you when you let them do their thing, and then they don't love you as much when you don't. And I want them to love me because I'm afraid of teachers, especially my second grade teacher, if she's watching this. But we still had a really good conversation, and it was nice to hear the school counselors and the school social workers who I wanted to be a part of the conversation to describe how they view this work, but more importantly, how they feel we can have a greater impact on students. And for those who've not heard me talk about this before, it's really important that we understand what we're working towards. And so I'm very adamant that we don't do diversity work because it's who we are. What we're doing is we're striving for inclusion. So when you
It was a little easier after she told you what it is.
doesn't matter. When you spoke about the bocce team, I immediately went back to, I think it was July, where someone on this side of the table talked about the bocce team was doing some work with students who had intellectual disabilities or something. I can't remember the details, but I was like, oh, wait, like I know about that. Like that was really exciting. And so making sure that we're doing things like that, making sure we're looking at the people who aren't often in spaces and making sure that they feel like they can be in spaces. So inclusion is what we're working towards. Equity is the steps that we'll take to get there. So how can we find out what's missing in spaces and put it there so that way every student at Gateway is like, I can play bocce, or I can be on SGA, or I can connect with the Boy Scouts in the community, and then access. That's the overall plan, is to create more access to opportunities. So it's important that I continue to reiterate that when I talk, so people know this isn't just focusing on one group of people. This isn't just focusing on one thing. And so my job going forward is to take all of these notes that I have and kind of outline 3 to 5 goals that are tangible, realistic, but more importantly, strategic. Some things will be resolved immediately. I think with the equities committee, I was like, okay, this keeps coming up and this is an easy fix. And so this will be something that very early on will be a small win. But then if we maintain it, it will become something that strategically will impact the system. I also bring that up because when I spoke with the high school teachers, access was their greatest concern. It was, there are a lot of students who go through Gateway in elementary school, middle school, and then they get to high school and they want to do more, they want to be more, but because of the transportation buses or the writing center that is no longer available, and they name the myriad of other things, they don't have the same access to those opportunities as other students. There also was a hefty conversation around our transient population, the amount of students who are new to Gateway and how they're not properly transitioning into the schools. And so without naming any other school districts, the teachers did in the meeting, so it was helpful. But if you come from this school district and they don't care about students being engaged, or they don't have an SGA, or students don't hold doors, and then you get to Gateway and it's like, oh, you should get involved in this, you should get involved in that. Like, people are holding doors. There's this disconnection with the school. And
what do you mean holding doors? Holding them open?
like literally holding doors. Like several teachers talked about how students from certain backgrounds struggle with the idea of people being kind because of the schools they came from. And while that's something that most of us are like, wow, they held the door, that's nice. In some communities, like, it's sketchy. It's like, what are you holding the door for me for? Like, let me watch my back. And I had shared how, because of my upbringing and me having a level of street smarts that the common person doesn't have to have, that, I'm sketchy when I walk into spaces. When I walk in here, I scan the room, I'm like, okay, everybody looks safe, people are smiling, but if somebody's frowning, I'm like, keep my eyes on you, Steve. You're not Steve, or everyone looked at you. I was just like, I point in a direction. And so these are some of the cultural barriers that aren't related to culture from a race, ethnicity standpoint, but when you're going from a space that's unhealthy to a space that is healthier, and I shared with them and they echoed that they thought Gateway was a good district, there are things that we could do to help students transition, and the teachers were willing to do it, but they said, I can't do that and this other thing I'm doing that I hate, so I have to find someone to take that in order for me to do this. And so that goes back to the capacity to do the work and make sure that people are involved in the work who want to be. So we had people make recommendations for who should be on the equities committee. There were people who said, there's too many people who want to be on the equities committee, and so if you put that many people on it, it won't be impactful. So here's what you could do or should do instead. So up to this point, all the conversations have been meaningful. Everyone's been respectful. People have asked questions, and there have been people who said they were committed to doing the work and then realized they didn't actually know what they were committed to. And so they were like, well, I'm still good with that. But it was never explained that that was what we were doing. This week, I meet with elementary school teachers Thursday morning by way of Zoom. And then the one teacher who couldn't get coverage, I invited her because she clearly had stuff she wanted to share, and I felt like she needed to be in a space to do that. And then the school personnel, grassroots people working with students daily part will be complete. Following that, I will meet with school administrators, so the assistant superintendents, principals, assistant principals, director of people personnel, all of you all who have nice titles that scare me sometimes. and not everyone, but those who want to be involved in the conversation, and then community members. So for those of you who are here currently, for those of you who will watch this later or read the meeting minutes when they're published, this is a formal invitation for you to join the conversation and help us figure out what the best steps to take here are at Gateway. So if you're interested in being involved and you're a community member, you should reach out to Dr. Chakey, whose email is
dchakey@gatewayk12.org, but it's on the website as well.
boom, it's on the website as well, and it'll be in the meeting minutes, please. But we'll also utilize some of the people in the room who have connections in the community and ask them to bring people to this meeting. The one rule, and I don't even like rules because like they're meant to be broken. Students, don't tell your teachers I said that, is that I don't want people to show up on behalf of an organization or on behalf of a church or on behalf of another thing. I want them to show up as individuals. So show up as yourself. You can be a member of this church or this organization or this or that, but I want to know what you as an individual think, because we're trying to understand individual experiences, and it would be unfair to those in the district, the students, to say, well, this group wants X, Y, or Z, but what do the individuals within that group? Because not everyone who's a part of a group or organization think the same, believe the same. I'm dealing with that with my student government at my college right now. I'm like, well, you voted on this. Well, that was last semester. Well, it's too late. So I want people to be individuals in that space. And then once those two groups are done, I will meet with the board, members of the board, as members of the board without the administration present, to give preliminary findings and figure out what steps the board would like me to take to fine tune that, but also what's not in that people expected to be in that, and how can I go back through my notes and see, like, did it ever come up? Because our preliminary conversation over the summer, there have been things that were shared there that have come up, but there are some things that have not come up, and I want to make sure that I've asked the right questions, which I think I have because the feedback I've received seems to align with that, but I don't want to miss an opportunity to encourage something or put forth something that the community may need and may benefit from. So I know that's a lot, but we've been busy, we've been working. I'm thankful to have the support of my college to do this work, because teacher schedules, other school personnel schedules are challenging. And like I said, I don't want to upset anyone by asking them to participate in the conversations I want to have. I want them to show up in good faith. And I think people have to date. So I'm starting to get hot. So I'll open it up for questions. I think I'm supposed to do that next.
And at the conclusion of everything, we would like to have just a community meeting so we can outline essentially the findings, the process, and recommendations moving forward. So, thank you.
Any questions from over here? Wait, did you have a question, Susan?
Yes. The next meeting that is scheduled is?
Thursday at 8:15. That's what elementary school teachers and one middle school
Anyone
teacher.
is open to come, or
That's
our
the
board
next meeting being scheduled is the community meeting.
Okay, but
Correct.
our board members
Board members
welcome
who,
to come to any of the meetings, equity or otherwise, or are you waiting for a specific?
it's not like that, Valerie. It's not that I don't want board members there. I just,
Want a safe space for them to open up. And
yeah. So at the equity meeting, Val and Leslie were there, and I'm still a productive meeting. Like, people didn't care that they were in the room. They still kind of said what they wanted. But afterwards, there were some people who were like, like, were they here to watch you or were they here to participate? And I was like, they were here to participate. But I did make the decision going forward that when I met with teachers, specifically about what it's like to be a teacher in a district working with students that come from diverse backgrounds, that board members being present in that would be challenging, because with the little bit known about me, I'm scary enough. And so when you add board members, they're like, okay, is this actually we're going to do something, or is this we're just trying to get the people who care about this and might ruffle feathers, expose them, or the other way. So I don't think that it would have been a good idea, but you're more than welcome for the community piece. And knowing your influence in the community, Susan, and everything all the great work you've been doing, especially with the release of your book, I think it's inevitable that you would be there and people will show up because you are asking them to. So I have no issue with board members being at that meeting, but I would like to leave people to their private space.
Now, let me make sure I have that right. I know when we say diversity is who we are because we're a diverse community. We're working toward
Inclusion.
inclusion. And then where does equity fit in?
Those are the steps we'll take to achieve inclusion.
achieve that.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, because and are you one of those that will not sit with your back to the door when you're?
I don't sit with my back to the door.
Yeah, I don't
had
either.
to at Denny's once, and I was very uncomfortable.
That's a cultural thing, but it's.
Yeah.
I don't do that either.
Who's that? Oh, Mary Beth.
Any other
You know, I was
questions?
listening. I'm here behind you.
Any other questions for Dr. Kane?
I'm sorry. Did you all have any questions? I know
Anybody?
the Scouts were here today.
No?
Well, I'm gonna hang out, so
Yeah,
I can
please
hang
do.
out till 7. So, well, wait.
Did your wife
John,
have the baby yet?
If my wife had the baby, John, I wouldn't be here.
So how long?
My wife is due March 9th, so the hope is.
Couple months.
So I would like to meet with community members somewhere between Valentine's Day week and the following week, so an evening within that 2 week
I don't care about that. We want
I do.
we want pictures. We want, bring the pictures.
Oh God,
The baby, dad holding the. Oh my God.
Oh, John, don't pull out my heartstrings in public. No, we are, I anticipate we'll probably go into labor the last week of February because the eviction notice is slowly being written by my wife. So she is like, I love her, but like she keep kicking my bladder at 3 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so we will see. But I will put pictures in my final report. Like the future of Gateway with a little like star.
Anthony, thank you for talking about your wife's bladder here.
Strike that from the
Gateway
meeting
School
minutes,
Board
please.
meeting.
My couch is uncomfortable.
I'm sure she'll appreciate that. All right, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Dr. Kane. All right, we're going to move on to any board member discussion items. Start with Ms. Delaney. It's alphabetical.
How we talk about
I don't know if do we want to do the now or later?
We can hold off on the video. I would like to make one announcement concerning.
Of course, yes, sir.
Yes. This past Saturday, our community suffered a great loss. One of our students, class of 22 graduate, Asen Osbrook, was murdered. The community, Bellwood Street, Monroeville. It's touched off a lot of emotion within our families here at Gateway. Our condolences go out to the families, relatives, students who have known Hazen, and all of our employees who have had the honor and privilege of having him over the years. We've spent the last couple days triaging everything and preparing ourselves for kids returning to school tomorrow. I know our principals have sent messages out to the community, the families and the students that there will be assistance for those who need it in place tomorrow. Spent some time this morning at CSE and also up at the high school this afternoon, and a lot of questions, rightfully so, with what's happening, and want the community to know we're there for them. We're there for the family in the morning of their loss. But needless violence must stop. Something must occur in this country to prevent this from happening again. We've suffered 3 tragic losses, 4 in the last 3 weeks, 3 in Pitcairn, 1 in Monroeville. And it's something that we're unaccustomed to in our communities. But needless to say, we're aware of what's going on in our country. But to everyone out there, if you have any questions, if you need support, we are here. Please don't hesitate to ask. Our doors will open again tomorrow for the 2nd semester, and we will be there to assist our children. And I personally want to thank the staff. I know a few of them are here today, and I know it's on their mind, and they're going to be dealing with it tomorrow. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Dr. Short. All right, any board member discussion items? Yes, sir, Mr. Ritter.
Sure, I just want to toss to the board that the PSBA is looking for a Section 3 advisor. So that would be Allegheny County and Westmoreland County. And there are a couple of duties here. If you'd like to step up your activities with PSBA, you'd be promoting the adoption and the use of the PSBA principles of governance and leadership. It's an unpaid position, by the way.
That's all we do.
Actively participate in the annual conference, represent the PSBA at local meetings of various school boards. So if you wanted to go to other school board meetings, this is one easy way to go there and represent the PSBA's substance. Serve on the governing board, appointed committees, and provide recommendations for the annual platform committee. Review nominations and provide recommendations for the PIAA district committee, and promote the Great Pennsylvania Schools Initiative. So this is one way school board members who want to do a little bit more can do it in a well-honed manner. So there are many sections, left, right, two in the middle. Ours is the left lower, which is Allegheny County and Westmoreland County. We're Section 3. And I'd also like to volunteer to go out to Harrisburg on April 26th for the PSBA Advocacy Day. Knock on the legislators' doors, pat them on the back, and let them know what our team needs here. So I'm volunteering to go to do that for our.
Well, thank you, John. You did that last year, yes?
I like to do that.
Yes.
They like to see me. They like to see familiar faces. There's a way that you need to be able to talk to a legislator so that their arms don't go up and say, you're not going to make my day bad. We want to help them. They want to help us. And so, it's a way to sit down and communicate with them so that they can have a cogent way of helping the school district, not just ours, but all school districts out.
Well, thank you. Right. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
Ms. Delaney, anything?
No.
Ms. Warning? Dr. Zhang? All right, then, let's move on to... I looked right at Rob. Seriously, man, get off my back. Yeah, now there you go. Scotty, Mary Beth, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Minutes, let's move on to Section A. Minutes of previously held meetings, that would be December 6th, December 6th, and December 15th. Hear any motions?
Exactly.
Here you go, we have motion made and seconded. Any questions? Nope. All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? All right, let's move on to the good stuff, the financials. Take over, Dr. Stewart.
Did we mention that we did have an executive meeting?
I did.
We did that? Okay, it went right over my head.
That's
Thank you.
okay. No one listens to me. And yet I still keep talking.
Financial report, Section B. Mr. Zarellis.
Section B, financial reports. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves sections B1 listed bills and B2 financial reports as listed in Section B at the Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 regular board meeting. Item 1, financial report, Section B1 listed bills, January 2023. Section B1 listed bills added after the study session, January 2023. Section B2 financial statements, November of 2022. Section B2 financial statements, December of 2022.
Thank you, sir. Motion was made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Mungo. Do we have any questions on the bills that were in your packet? Nope. Let's have a roll call, please. Barney?
Mrs. Cerrucci? Mrs. Cerrucci?
Mrs. Cerrucci?
Sorry, I was muted. Aye.
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
And Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Let's move on.
Personnel agenda, Section D. Ms. Jessel.
Thank you. We have 3 resignations to report. As you can see listed there, paraprofessional at Moss Side, a teacher set to retire at Evergreen Elementary at the end of the school year, and then a secretary at Mosside Middle School effective almost the end of this month. We have various leave of absences as notated on the agenda as well, along with 2 transfers from our recent postings for the tech coach and the physical education teacher for increased population. And then additionally, we have roughly 6 different individuals that we'd like to recommend for employment. A volunteer as well.
Beautiful.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any questions on any of the personnel items?
How many paraprofessionals do we have? Seems like we always see it like. always on the agenda. Yeah, how many going?
I believe we presently have roughly 80 paraprofessionals throughout the district.
How many should we have?
I can't answer that off the top of my head, but I will look into it for you. I believe there's roughly 11 or 12 vacancies right now,
Okay.
based on what I most recently collected data-wise, but I'll have to double check and look into that for you.
Okay, yeah, we see that all the time. on the
Yeah, it's
agenda every month,
constantly
so.
moving back and forth depending on the day of the week at times, it feels like.
Okay.
Any other questions on personnel? We sort of have one being mumbled over here, I think.
No question.
No other questions? Okay. Let's have a roll call, please. Lucia, I don't know what's happening.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mrs. McBride. Aye.
Ms. Mungo? Aye. Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye. But I'm going to abstain from the first transfer.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
And Mrs. Cerrucci?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next section. Section E, conferences. Dr. Shaky?
For approval tonight, we have 2 conferences that were added after the study session, one for Cindy Capel to the PDE Data Summit and one for Justin Stevens to the Improving Leadership Conference.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions on these 2?
Yes. Is Mrs. Capel required to bring back any candy? I just asked, since she's that close. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Say never mind to that. Any other questions?
If she does, is Val going to eat it?
Not a chance. That's what's so funny about this. That is hilarious. All right, any other questions? Nope. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Excellent. Let's move on to our administrative report.
Elementary education, Dr. Rossi.
Item number 1 is approve the partnership with the Monroeville Public Library and the Allegheny County Library Association for the Library Cards for All initiative. And item number 2, approve the purchase of the Sam Lab school-wide pro subscription and 2 additional STEAM classroom kits.
Item number 3, approve the facility agreement with Monroeville Wrestling Tournament.
Item 4, approval of the general fund budget tax rates not to exceed the index for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Whereas the Gateway School District index for the
I'll just ask it, you just read
yes.
the bulleted items and then.
Yes,
Yeah.
whereas the Gateway School District index for the 2023-24 fiscal school year is 5.1%. And now the 17th day of January 2023, it is hereby resolved the Gateway School District Board of Directors agree to items 1 through 7 as listed. Item 5, approve the advertising for bids, general fund, various school supplies for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Item 6, acceptance of the district donations received for the 2022-23 fiscal year as listed. Item 7, approval of the proposal with the Markenhoff Associates to perform the other post-employment benefits actuary valuation calculations under the governmental accounting standards number 75 as listed. Item 8, approve the staffing agreements with Employer Solutions Staffing Group, LLC, doing business as Alliance Staffing. Item 9, approve the contract, the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, for use of their website, paeducator.net, as listed. Item 10, approval of the agreement with the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, as listed in Exhibit E. Item 11, acceptance of the federal IDA Part B pass-through funds, Allegheny Intermediate Unit 3 for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. As listed, item 12, approval of the change orders, Gateway Middle School renovation project construction fund for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Approve the change order for Lycarius Construction Company Incorporated in the total net amount of $14,956.84. Description of the work: furnish and install 5 steel beams in the auxiliary gym area. Total net change order $14,956.84. Item 13, approval to advertise in the newspaper for the cabling, network equipment, and wireless project at the Gateway School District. Michael, you want to explain this?
Sorry, this is for the 2023-2024 E-rate project. This includes the wired network for Gateway Middle School. It will also include the wireless network upgrades for the remainder of the district, as well as some auxiliary upgrades such as the firewall and cabling that we might be replacing in Evergreen and University Park.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All right, let's hear your questions and comments on any or all of those.
Question.
Let's go, Mary Beth. I think you blurted first.
Sorry, thank you. The library cards, we talked about the possibility of having people opt in rather than doing this for all students and you must opt out. Where are we with that?
Mary Beth, let me just take a moment to remind people what this is about. The Monroeville Public Library did a presentation last week, and I don't want to, the Reader's Digest version is very short, but basically their goal, of course, is to have every student have a library card. And no one, I think, would be opposed to that. The hang up is that the method they're using is they're attempting to do it all at once, and in order to accomplish it, they would like the district to provide the names, birth dates, student ID numbers to the library to do this massive data dump, as they described, by February 8th as part of a larger consortium, is the word they used, of other libraries. So I'm sorry, Mary Beth, I just want to do a little background, and I know you're concerned, so if you want to go on, go right ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm in favor of students having library cards, but as a school board member, I am reluctant to just give out personal information to any exterior organization, including names, birth dates, addresses, emails of our students. So if we can't have parents have the ability to opt in to getting a library card for their student, I would probably have to vote no on this. That's all.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I think you've summarized it well. Everyone is in favor of reading, in favor of participating in what is a wonderful library. I too am not only reluctant but puzzled as to why this is the method to recruit students. There's a number of ways of doing this to entice, to welcome, to encourage students to get a library card. Dr. Short, if you had I thought a pretty good idea for one shortcut method of doing this, if you'd like to share that.
Essentially, the personal identification number does concern me. There's information that could get leaked out there. However, if the Monroeville Library would simply issue a card to an individual student within the entire district, and that child then goes over to the library, they could then access, get a barcode, and then enroll themselves either with a parent and or guardian. So every student would receive a card, but at that point in time, it would be on the individual or the parent to go over.
to be activated, what you're saying.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if there's a way that we can give them this address in a 111s or whatever for a student ID to be able to do their data dump, so to speak, and then update it. Like if they need to keep record on how they're gonna just print them out, because it is through the county.
And I can volunteer to meet with Dr. Rossi, go over to the library.
Yeah, why don't you do that? We again, you know, we're all enthusiastic about whatever we can do.
Can we table this instead of voting no until we get further information? Can we table just this partnership?
I would rather have a new contract because it's associated with a, 6-page document, memorandum of understanding that needs to change if we're going to change the terms of it.
And yeah, I tend to agree. I'm more comfortable with simply us voting on this particular thing, and then if it were to not pass, then come back to them with other ideas for how to get these cards to whatever Gateway students don't have them.
Can we vote on this separately?
Right, we'll vote on number 1 separately. Okay, any other of the many things in here? Yes,
Jack, I have an information technology background specific to security as well. And so when you throw a rock into a pond, there's the first wave that comes out, and then the second wave, and then the third. So computer security people always look at the downstream misuses or abuses of information, especially in healthcare. So when I look carefully at the contract, I noticed that the downstream misuses techniques that they were proposing weren't solid enough for me if I were a parent at some school district, because that information can be misused or gleaned or abandoned or walked off with by an employee who just wants to take it and sell it. Even if it's de-identified, it can be re-identified. So there are many, many other concerns that I have with this. So I would be happy to vote no on this now, but I want the kids to be able to have a library card like we all do, but not through this technique.
So
Yes, sir.
I want to comment on this. So this is a part of county-wide initiative. It's not Monroeville Public Library individually doing it. And there are approximately 10 libraries which have already done this with their adjacent school districts.
Right.
And so it's not completely out of the hat. And as far as the privacy is concerned, broadly speaking, when you log on Facebook, you don't realize how much you just give it. You don't need to tell anybody. You log on once, and the company's ads start appearing in every walk of your life. So there is a lot of give and take already going on, library or no library, and so much more that just you open the computer and you are opening for being hacked. So we can hear squabble on any detail we please, but you have to see a big picture. And our students are benefiting a lot already from the library. When I'm there when the school closing time, the population of the library swells. And same way, the downstairs, we are talking about elementary school kids. The children's library is just amazing. Those staffs are so loving. And the people who work in children's library, I tell you, they are just like pediatricians. Pediatricians go and practice in pediatrics because they love children. Same way, these people who work in children's library, they love children's. So we can be reserved about it. I mean, I brought this issue when I joined board about a year ago with Dr. Short. And that time, Woodland had already joined in their library, and Woodland school districts had already joined. And this was already passed through. And all the questions and critics were answered at that time. And there was good coverage in Post-War Gazette. And Dr. Short put out that article. This was 1 year ago. And so now, from then on, we are 10th. We already have 10 libraries participating. And we want to be 39th library. Well, it's as well, you can choose that. But the fact is that there is a small risk in anything you do on computer. And so I think this is a reasonable step to me. You can table it. Tabling means it will go for the next year cycle then. And which is, you can postpone it. But the fact is that the risk is minimal, I would say.
Well, with all due respect, Dr. Singh, the difference is we are essentially taking the risk for all of the students at Gateway. We're taking that risk for them. If they choose to take a risk, either by going on Facebook voluntarily or anywhere else in the world, that's their prerogative. I'm not comfortable with us giving their data to anyone. And no one's arguing the value of the library or the goodness of the people providing the services. This is more a matter of this data, these identifications, these birth dates, and so.
So again, I reiterate my point that 1 year ago, it was Woodlands.
I understand other schools have done it. I get it. I'm not questioning it. I'm not making decisions for Woodland Hills or Fox Chapel or any of the other school districts that are there. I'm making decisions for this school district, and I've talked to a few people in my community, and they shudder at the notion that we're giving up data, period. I mean, period. So I've understood every word you've said. Again, I will do everything I can to get Gateway's students into the library and involved in library cards using Dr. Short's method or other help me out, whatever other method we can. But I would not ever vote to give up this information en masse. Won't do it.
Mr. Bova, and adding one other element to what you just said, I would say to Dr. Singh, it's the parent's choice to allow the child on Facebook, to allow the data to be given to get the library card. So I'm not going to overstep the authority that I think belongs to a parent.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Almost. I don't think it has to do with joining the library. It has to do with the school's decision to make that decision to hand out that data information. And I think that's where we're hung up. We're not, Jack's right, we're not hung up on the library or it's a wonderful library. They have wonderful programs. Our students are involved both learning and teaching. It's just like Mary Beth said, and Jack, it's our decision. We are not making the parents' decision to hand out their child's information.
And as a board, if we vote in favor of this, then the Gateway School District could be liable if somebody thinks that somehow some information was leaked. We would have to prove that we weren't part of the team that caused it to be leaked. So now we're trying to prove a negative. That's an awfully difficult position to be in. So I would prefer the route that we're heading toward right now, that is let the parents decide to step forward and get the children library cards, and that'll make it a little tougher for the bad guys who do bad things.
They allow the parents to opt in.
Right.
Which is any version of that, any version.
I get why they do that, because people aren't reading their kids' information when it comes home. I understand that, but I agree. I don't know if we want to be in a position where we're putting people's information out there. And you're right, you expose yourself on the cell phones and every place else, but we're not making those decisions for people when they're using their cell phones and their computers and whatever else they're doing.
Mr. Dice, do you feel that we could be liable?
Sure. In today's society, anything's possible. I think John makes the point.
Okay.
And anything else?
McDonald's for a hot coffee. This coffee is going to be hot.
Any other comments or questions on this or any of the other items?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 8. So my question is, when we have this, we're asking for approval for this staffing agreement. Realize that it's hard to find people that we are going to, if we're relying on a staffing company to hire, what do they they doing that we're not doing?
That's one question. The other question, of course, is at what cost to us?
Yes.
So that's what everyone wants to know. If somehow they're better at staffing than we are, what are we paying them? So Dr. Short, someone have the answer to that? Like, if we hire someone through Allegiant Staffing, what premium are we paying over the hourly rate of that person?
It's a 50% markup that
what?
they get.
I say we go into the staffing business.
Yeah.
50%.
The employee would make the same rate as our current staff members do for the same position being held, but the Allegiance company would have a 50% markup.
So what are they doing that we're not doing?
So, go ahead. I'm going to ask then, why aren't we able to increase the pay?
Well, first of all, there's a contract. Let's answer Robin's question
Robin
first.
asked first.
Sorry.
It varies. In my previous role, I've asked similar questions to individuals who were heavy recruiters for manufacturing plants. They're not allowed to openly discuss. There's some ways that Martin and I have discussed trying to be able to attract. I think the hard part has been we've continuously tapped into the same resources, and the ones that typically produce the highest results and the greatest yield in candidates, they've run dry. I can speak from experience. Indeed and internal referrals are your two best friends when it comes to hiring. We already post on Indeed. We already speak with everyone internally. The next option that we have that we've entertained, and I know historically have done, is put blasts out both through social media and then also through Skyward. I do want to entertain that before we even try to entertain this contract, but this contract is the hopeful fail-safe last attempt to fill a void. I mean, it's not by any means anyone's desire to hire through or to utilize an agency first and foremost. There's just been so many struggles with filling so many of these positions that we have to have some type of safety net that we currently do not have.
I agree, but it's just, when you see this time after time, it's just kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Maybe we should hire someone from Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, on the money that we're putting into it, maybe we need to hire someone who, I'm just throwing it out there. It just seems crazy to me that they can get people that
We can't. Is our compensation not in line with this workforce?
It must be, because the people they're hiring are getting paid the same amount.
Well, we hope, because we talked about this before, our difficulty hiring people. So we hope that they're finding folks, and that's our expectation, but are they?
I think for right now, it's a very difficult market to assess that in. Everything post-pandemic has just been completely topsy-turvy. I mean,
Sorry, Andrew, no one gave you the memo. No more pandemic stuff.
My bad. But no, like honestly, you look and it is starting to be more and more difficult to attract for some of these lower wage positions. That's a no-brainer. It's difficult to attract in general, but especially for lower wage positions. There's a niche market that you need to tap into for some of these positions as well. You're looking for, your typical demographic would be more so the stay-at-home parent, someone who's just looking for a little extra wage. These are part-time roles, not full-time positions you're looking to fill here. And with that in mind, that demographic's shrinking drastically. So you don't have the target audience anymore that you once had, number one. And number two, you have increased demand external to the district that can be far more competitive in that aspect. So it is a very unique situation that I would like to try to work for more on trying to remedy. It's just that at this time, we have not had the resources to be able to do so.
Now,
I'm sorry, it was a conversation about Kelly Services as well.
Yeah.
What was that, Rob?
What is their success rate?
For this agency, I do not know that as of right now.
We should find out.
How many vacancies do we have in the department?
I can get the exact number and email to you. I don't have it off the top of my head. I believe overall it's under 10, but more than 5.
Now, I think we've discussed this on this floor before. I've certainly read articles about school districts that employ students. I'm not advocating that. I'm saying that there are school districts that have succeeded in, especially part-time work, I'm visualizing a student actually working as a custodian. I don't remember where that article was from. I could certainly find it. But since we're attempting anything to fill these, perhaps we can at least discuss the legality of that, the propriety, the sense, before we pay a 50% premium on a part-time worker of any sort. 50% is,
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering though, too.
sounds like a business for you, Robin Mungo. You're entrepreneurial. What do you think?
I'm
30%, we'll give you 30%.
I'm reading the contract, but there's nothing here that says we have to employ so many people from this staffing company. So we can do as needed and hours as needed, and
Yep, exactly.
so there's a lot of variation that.
And
the
right now, I
district
mean,
can look
part of
at.
the thing that leads us to even entertaining this is that everyone has been working regular overtime. And when I say regular overtime, that means they're working a 40-hour work week for a lot of these individuals who only signed up for a part-time job. So, we are hitting burnout and we are exhausting every potential resource we have. So to have that safety net to be able to say, hey, someone wants to just work that part-time week this week because they have plans or something, it would be nice to have that flexibility built in as well. Not saying that that's what it's going to be utilized for, but, just thinking normal world right now, someone who signed up for a part-time job that's become a full-time job might need a break here and there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just wonder how that differs though from actually Kelly, when we decided to take on Kelly. Are we talking 50%?
No,
Okay.
it's not 50%
I never did
markup.
hear what they, how that was determined that we.
Don't quote me on it, but I believe it's right around 30% markup is what Kelly Services is based on Trish and my assessment earlier this year.
Okay.
And then we did look into, Mike and I looked into the early onboarding fee for this service, and it does fall in line with Kelly Services. So
And part of that fee includes their payroll and their clearances and doing all of that. So they just come in for that.
Yep. Very much so.
Anything else on that, or anything else in here?
Number 10.
What's that?
Number 10.
Number 10, yeah, we got number 10. Yeah, it's a good one.
I think this is great. I just want to make sure that it's, follows the guidelines that the food bank, the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank has as far as, and I guess I want to know about just security of the area, who's going to be in charge of making sure that it's running properly and the people who are in need are being
served.
They're being reached out to.
If you want to, and also maybe discuss the
Market tomorrow.
transportation and how that's going to work. Food delivery.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. First of all, Ms. Hoffner from University Park is the one that is in charge of this, and I just do a lot of the legwork as far as that. We've met with the food bank on several occasions. They've come up and viewed the area where everything is at. Mr. Brown has put us in an area where there's only a few keys that are able to access the lots. We do have our maintenance people that go down and pick up the food, bring it back, and then it's secured. Every Thursday, we have the National Honor Society kids come in and bag for what we are taking to our students. The counselors and principals are the ones that give us a number. We don't know who they are or whatever. They are bagged and put in bins and then taken to the schools Friday morning, which then is distributed by the guidance counselors to the students that they put in their backpacks to take home. Tomorrow, we have found that there has been a great need of our families. So we spoke with the food bank, and they are assisting us in the pop-up market here at Gateway from 6 till 7:30 tomorrow. There will be, we're asking that there are just families from the district that come in need. We will have items available for, whatever they need.
So do you have distribution times already set up for?
Or say distribution for.
You said for families for pickup and in the district.
Tomorrow, they're having it from 6 o'clock to 7:30. It's just like a drive-through, like the food bank has.
Morning, evening, 6.
It's at 7:30.
And you said that the school, is the food bank bringing the food to us, or do we have to go to them to pick it up?
We have our maintenance people go down and pick up what we order. But now that we are going to be doing the market and the backpack, they will be able to
They'll be
deliver.
delivering.
Yes.
Okay.
This is just, the agreement is just to show that the district is in support of this.
Okay. What if you have a family in the community that does not have any kids in the school, just because they don't have any children, or their children are not old enough to be in the district yet, or attend school, or already graduated? Would they be able to use the resources?
There are other food banks in the area that are able to help them, Crossroads and Garden City Methodist Church. This is basically for our students.
Okay, that's why I was wondering if it's restricted to them only. Okay.
It has been. Our social workers, our guidance counselors, principals know if there is a need, they can, just call. We'll put together whatever they need.
Okay. So it's not gonna be run like a traditional food bank? Okay.
Any other questions?
On, let's see, what is this? The donations, the H. I was part of the Rotary when we're looking at the donations that were made. It's not me individually.
Well, there's a G that's the Rotary
I
Club.
see that, but that should just be all together. It was just that we did running around with the school. Also, this new change order that we have at Gateway Middle. How did we not know we needed beams?
I believe it was the area of the roof that wasn't exposed, that once they got into it, they realized it, the beams were needed.
Accurate. Yeah, from what I read on it, it's the area, in area A, where corridors intersect, and I guess the engineers caught this when they were doing a walkthrough and said they have to put these extra 5 beams in for the roof to be secure.
So they made a mistake.
Right. Nice way of putting it.
They made a mistake, and no, it's a good question, and we had been pretty emphatic that everyone hates change orders, and for good reasons, and they do the best they can, they draw the plans the best they can, and occasionally they miss something.
So do they have a time frame when these beams will come in that they can continue? Are we still going to be on time, or?
We're having a meeting next week. I'll find out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it.
Anything else? Now, last week, when we went through this and we saw, I think there's actually 9 donations, there was a round of applause for all, really generous folks. So take a look through the list at the very least and say a silent thanks. All right, so let's get.
Second half.
Oh, thank you. Send that.
No applause.
And we have to do that now?
Well, I just want to make sure he's got it. You raised the question last week.
I just asked.
Thank you. She did. That's exactly right. She said, "Where's your money?"
No. That's another one.
I think we're okay. Bonnie, let's do item 1 first.
Okay, very good. This is for item number 1. Mrs. McBride? Oh, is this the library? Okay, no. Ms. Mungo?
No.
Mr. Ritter?
No.
Dr. Singh?
Yes.
Mrs. Warning?
Yeah.
Mr. Williams?
No.
Mr. Bova?
No.
Mrs. Cerrucci?
No.
And Mrs. Delaney?
No.
Motion fails.
All right, now we can move on to the rest, Bonnie.
Okay. Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
I accept for 8.
And that's a no. Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci?
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye, except for 8 as well.
And Mrs. McBride?
All right,
Aye. Very sorry.
thank you.
I lost myself in the papers.
We move on to- We don't have no resolutions from board members. Comments from residents on non-agenda items. Yes, ma'am.
Cheryl Boyce, Monroe. I know you just voted down the library. I just wanted to tell you I called them. Because one of the things is, don't make the assumption that we don't have library cards. We do. And they were going to have a problem in that they're not going to reissue cards for families that already have them. So they were going to have to do a double check. Plus, if you have a Carnegie Library card too, it was going to be a lot of work on their part, and they couldn't get it done necessarily, I don't think, in the time frame they wanted, because my family doesn't need a Monroeville library card. That would be redundant. So that's just something to consider. If you ever talk about this again, how many people in Monroeville actually have the cards with children? Because it's better that I have the card and I go in there with my grandchildren and I get the books with them. Never give a 6-year-old a library card. Good grief and gravy. Because they couldn't explain how they were going to do that. I said, I don't want my grandkids coming home with a library card. It'll never make it in the door. So you have to consider that too. Also, isn't there a way our library can access a lot of this online stuff that they were talking about, that the kids can go over there and access, like, I don't know who uses an encyclopedia these days, but they were talking about an online encyclopedia. But our libraries have the ability to do that too in the school district, right?
Yes.
So that's just another redundancy possibly, because we're already providing that to them. Something just to consider if you have this discussion again. If you don't want to answer this question, you don't have to, because I don't know if this is a cat out of the bag, but I understand at the Buildings and Grounds, there was a conversation about pre-K.
That's correct.
I don't remember us having other conversations other than there, because I know you're looking at space.
Space would be the issue at this point. I know Dr. Rossi provided community board members with an overview of what a pre-K program would look here.
Like.
Yes.
Okay, you know that's my big thing, because I worked in pre-K. The only thing when you do this, and I'm assuming.
By the way, let me interrupt one quick second. I don't want to contradict you, but we haven't decided as a board to pursue pre-K yet.
Right.
Space is part of the discussion, but also it's a community need, and are we serving a purpose?
Right.
And so we're not there yet.
I know that.
Okay.
That's why I said
Just want to be
maybe
clear.
I'm jumping the gun. But what I'm going to ask you is the next thing, Jack, because you are part of the community. What I don't want to see happen is, I don't know what your time frame is. I don't know if you're going into pre-K count funding or any of that stuff, which involves the state, and that takes forever. And then you have to promise certain things. But whatever you do, can you communicate with the existing preschool programs that have been here forever? Because what I don't want to see is those destroyed with you coming in and taking their place.
Exactly an issue that we raised as a board.
Maybe you want to have a pre-K committee with all those people like at Crossroads, at Mom, and all those places that have it, just to let them, there's a bunch of them out there that have been here forever. Just, you don't want to undermine them, and just communicate with them, and maybe they can give you some input. And I don't know how that would impact the high school pre-K program. You'd have to let us know.
Right.
I didn't see you had heard that. I just want to make sure we protect what's already in existence and just expand those opportunities. There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about, if I can remember where I put it. Miss Andrea, the one group of people today that are having the biggest problem and they have to go back to work, do you know what group that is?
No, sorry.
Senior citizens.
Me?
So, and that's become a real problem with the economy, the way things have been. People have retired, and because they're fixed income and gas gets to be more expensive, and a dozen eggs is $5 a dozen now, they've had to go back to work. I'm just wondering if you could consider posting something at the senior center, not to say that they're going to do it, And all it's gonna take is a posting and put it there, or even the public library, because I know a lot of seniors go there, and see if some of them maybe step forward, because now they have to do something more than just collect Social Security, whatever else they may, because of the economy.
Excellent.
Just a possible.
Yeah, good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, anyone else on non-agenda items? Nope. All righty, let's go on to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Bova. Second semester is upon us. Tomorrow we begin, and our students are ready, our teachers are ready. We're preparing with our clerical work, finishing up grades from the first semester. So look forward to seeing everyone come back for the second semester very strong. And we will be in touch with our families with everything that goes on towards the end of the year, which is really not too far away. Wonderful activities that we have. So that's all we have. And the Boy Scouts, do we learn anything tonight?
Yes, we did.
That's an excellent answer. Absolutely right.
Yes, we did. That's all I have.
Learned that you guys are dopes. All right, let's go around the horn here. Mr. Ritter.
Sure, the Pennsylvania School Board Association's legislative platform document is now up on their website. So this is the list of all the stuff that the PSBA is going to try to advocate for over the next year. So if you're interested in that, it's a political document, there you go. Just go out to the website and look for the legislative platform document. Number two, we have an election coming up in November, and 6 school board seats will be open. That's November of 2023. That's a long way away. But we also have a primary election that's coming up pretty soon. That's in May 2023. So usually when people want to run for a school board, they try to get on the May ballot. In order to do that, if you're interested or know somebody is interested, now's the best time to contact your local committee and say, how do I run for school board? What's involved with it? What's the pay, et cetera, et cetera. So now's a good time to do that because the committees are trying to find out who can and should run for school board so that they can back them and help them out and get up here and serve on the school board. And you can also go out to the PSBA's website. There's an article out there, How to Run for School Board. It really lays out all the nitty-gritty details. And that's all I got.
Thank you, John. Ms. Delaney.
Yes, I just want to reiterate the fact that yesterday was the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday and a day of community service, and that's why I handed out the fact that thanking the school board directors for their service, because one of the famous quotes that I always loved by Dr. Martin Luther King was, everyone can be great because anyone can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, Dr. Martin Luther King. And that goes along with John also encouraging individuals to get on the school board. And one of the other things that I did have a chance to go to yesterday was a beautiful musical down at the August Wilson Center. Fanny, The Life of Fanny Lou Hamer, who was a civil rights activist, and it was spectacular. I've been a lot of times, I know that I've been working with some of the teachers, Ms. Dudek and all, trying to see how we can even get our kids to some of the matinees when they have these programs. So we're working on doing that. And the other thing, Michael, can we see just 7 minutes and 13 seconds of the video? It's just a reminder when we have holidays like Dr. King's birthday, and we tend to know it's a holiday, but it's good to hear his voice again and to be reminded of what he sacrificed for all of us to have the freedoms too that we have celebrated in civil rights. Can you turn it up a little?
Is it all too many people find themselves living amid a great period of social change, and yet they fail to develop the new attitude, the new mental response that the new situation demands. They end up sleeping through a revolution. There can be no gainsaying of the fact that the great revolution has taken place world today, in the sense it is a triple revolution. That is a technological revolution with the impact of automation and cybernation. Then that is a revolution in weaponry with the emergence of atomic and nuclear weapons of warfare. Then that is a human rights revolution with the freedom explosion that has taken place all over the world. Yes, we do live in a period where changes are taking place. That is still the voice crying through the vista of time, saying, behold, I make all things new. Former things are passed away. Now, whenever anything new comes into history, it brings with it new challenges and new opportunities. And I would like to deal with the challenges that we face today as a result of this triple revolution that has taken place in the world today. First, we are challenged to develop a world perspective. No individual can live alone. No nation can live alone. And anyone who feels that he can live alone is sleeping through a revolution. The world in which we live is geographically one. The challenge that we face today is to make it one in terms of brotherhood. Now, it's true that the geographical oneness of this age has coming to be to a large extent through modern man's scientific ingenuity. Modern man, through his scientific genius, has been able to dwarf distance and place time in chains. And our jet planes have compressed into minutes distances that once took weeks and even months. All of this tells us that our world is a neighborhood. Through our scientific and technological genius, we have made of this world a neighborhood, and yet we have not had the ethical commitment to make of it a brotherhood. Somehow and in some way we've got to do this. We must all learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools. We are tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. For some strange reason, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the way God's universe is made. This is the way it is structured. John Donne caught it years ago and placed it in graphic terms. No man is an island in time itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. And he goes on toward the end to say, any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. Therefore never sin to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. We must see this, believe this, and live by it. If we are to remain awake through a great revolution. Secondly, we are challenged to eradicate the last vestiges of racial injustice from our nation. I must say this morning that racial injustice is still the black man's burden and the white man's shame. It is an unhappy truth that racism is a way of life for the vast majority of white Americans, spoken and unspoken, acknowledged and denied, subtle, sometimes not so subtle. The disease of racism permeates and poisons a whole body politic. And I can see nothing more urgent than for America to work passionately and unrelentingly to get rid of the disease of racism. Something positive must be done. Everyone must share in the guilt, as individuals and as institutions. The government must certainly share the guilt. Individuals must share the guilt. Even the church must share the guilt. We must face the sad fact at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning when we stand to sing, "In Christ there is no east."
That was given, of course, 55 years ago, and it's so relevant even today. So we just, as a reminder.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Warning?
Yes. Mr. Hall, are you on?
I think he is not.
Mr. Hall?
I am.
Okay. I asked our athletic director to speak on behalf of an upcoming event, and go ahead, Dawn, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to share that event that we've been looking forward to for quite some time is upon us in about a week and a half. Next Wednesday, January 25th, we are hosting our final bocce match of the season with our unified bocce team. They're off to a 1-1 start. They have a couple more competitions coming up. And again, our January 25th event is one that we've designated as a Pack the Gym event. We're going to have the drum line there. We're going to have the cheerleaders there. We're going to use our regular public address announcer to announce the starting lineups and all the participants as they come out on the floor. Really exciting kind of day. We're going to try to incentivize some students and make it like a playoff atmosphere in the Fury Sports Complex for our bocce athletes in their inaugural season. With that, I would like to invite all of you, if you could attend at 3:30 on Wednesday, January 25th. Again, we're hosting Ligonier Valley. I think you'll be absolutely enthralled by the scene and by the student athletes that we have participating, both our special education and our general education students in that unified bocce team. So again, very excited to share that with you all.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thanks.
And I just want to thank our student rep for informing us of everything that's going on at the school district. It's, it's great to hear things that are positive and all that. And I just want to say my prayers go out to the families and all that knew Asen, and to be affected by such a senseless tragedy. I just keep you in my prayers.
Thank you, Ms. Warning. Ms. Mungo?
Nothing.
Dr. Singh? Nothing. Ms. McBride?
I am just on the Gateway Musical Facebook page and want to remind everybody that auditions are happening this week, and we look forward to what it has to bring this year.
Auditions
For the musical, for Gateway Musical. So they started on the 14th.
Okay.
They do have a Facebook page, so you can follow a couple follow-up auditions and then callbacks.
It's going to be Mamma Mia, so it's going to be fabulous.
That was really
Is that it, Ms. McBride?
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming out and contributing and participating. And John is pointing at the sky, which means Mary Beth, do you have anything to offer?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Williams, anything you'd like to share?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. And similarly, I have nothing further, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Have a good night.